So let's start with the basics. What do you do? In this section, we will define a UVP and its key parts so that you can start answering that question with confidence. Very often, we'll hear that question, what do you do? And someone will answer with a noun or essentially the word they put on their tax form. I'm an artist, I'm a writer, I'm a designer, I'm a performer, I'm a musician. That's not really answering the question, what do you do? It's kind of naming your profession, but it's also too short. It's not very descriptive, and it's certainly not capturing the real value of your work, right? It's just not that interesting. At the other end of the spectrum, sometimes someone will answer the question, what do you do, with paragraphs and paragraphs describing what they do in copious detail. That's more like kind of an artist statement or a lecture on their work rather than a simple answer to the question, what do you do? Often these answers are too long. They're sometimes too technical or conceptual or nuanced for a general audience, and they don't necessarily invite the conversation to continue because again, it's not really a conversation. It's more of a long extended lecture about something. So what we're looking for and what a unique value proposition is something that lives kind of in the Goldilocks zone between those two extremes. It's more than a single noun, but less than an entire lecture on the history of your work. That's a unique value proposition. It is a short, concise statement that captures the value of your business and often distinguishes it from others by identifying what is really unique about you. Some people think feels similar to maybe an elevator pitch or a tagline, and there are definitely similarities there, right? What we're going for is a short, concise statement. So, elevator pitching tends to be a little bit more personal in nature. This can be a little bit more business related. It can really feel like a tagline, though, although, it shouldn't necessarily feel like something you would hear on a commercial from the 80s, right? We want it to feel kind of really authentic and like it does really describe your value. Often this is used, especially this term in entrepreneurial circles, right? It's sort of how am I solving a problem my customers have? Maybe that feels relevant to your work, but often in the arts, we're not necessarily solving a problem for our customers. We're inviting them to examine something differently, right? So maybe this feels relevant or maybe not. Often this all comes up in marketing circles as well, especially when we're thinking about describing the way a product or a process or a thing is unique and special and different, or kind of highlighting things we want to emphasize. So that's where you may have heard or be familiar with this term. Sometimes that resonates really well in the arts, and sometimes it doesn't fit really nicely. So keep your focus on the short, concise statement that captures the value of what you do, because that's really what we want to do through this unique value proposition. And if we take each word in isolation, the first word, unique, is really emphasizing what makes you different. What are your strengths or your skills? What are you focused on? What makes you special? What is kind of that unique aspect of your work? The value part is really meant to capture the impact of you or your work. What do you do to change the world? Or how is it impacting others or your community or anything else, right? What is the real value of what you do? And the proposition piece is really the how. How do you do what you do to change the world, right? Maybe this is something about your specific work or your process, or maybe you even think about those you serve here. But really, if we take each word of this single concise statement, we want to emphasize what makes you special, the real value or impact of what you do, and how you do it. There are three parts to this single concise statement. Often it's a sentence. It could be a phrase, but often it's a single sentence. And the sentence has a subject. So who is doing the thing? There's often an action, right? An impactful word that's sort of capturing what you are doing. And then there's a third piece, kind of the object of the action or the extra something interesting you add to this sentence with these three parts that capture the unique impact of you and your work. In the next section, we'll work through each of these parts individually, making use of those handouts as we go through each one.